Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, and welcome to New Life Live. Really glad you're with us here right smack dab in the middle of the month on a Wednesday, May 15th. Accompanying me on the program today, two PhD female people who help other people, Dr. Sheri Keffer and Dr. Alice Benton. Hi, guys.
Hey, it's great to be with you both.
Hello. I have a prayer request for you and our listeners.
Okay, we'll get to that later, but no, go ahead. What is that? What is that prayer request?
We are working really hard with our 6-year-old about disrespect and disobedience, and we even had to get a chart together. We're doing a point system, and we're going over it every night and praying about it, but it's a struggle, so I could use all your prayers for God's wisdom and his patience. 6 years old? Mm-hmm. I thought this would come in teenage years. I didn't expect it at 6 yet.
Yeah. Well, I think, not to make you feel bad, but how you handle this determines the entire outcome of the child's life.
No pressure. No pressure.
But, here is something, having been in the parenting world now for almost 29 years and 5 children's worth, I got to tell you, the folks that come down hard in response to children's reactions, I think lose long term, just as I've seen it. That, if you're going to err, it's never erring in the area of responsibility. We want all of our kids to have responsibilities, and it's not erring on consequences. But here's where I say, on our reactions, if you react more with grace, understanding, ears than your own words and tongue, I think in the long run you come out so far ahead. There's a reason that the book Don't Sweat the Small Stuff sold so much, and it's something I think too few learn later in life, that it really is true. So I just want to encourage you that your sweet spirit probably goes a long way in, forming that child long term.
Well, and what's interesting is I was out having sushi the other night with Kyle, my husband, and we were talking with a couple. And so not only 6-year-old, but she's a 36-year-old daughter who's married to a man, and he has a lot of power and control issues, and they've not heard from her for quite some time. She didn't call on Mother's Day, and the dad said, you know what, I am going to call her, and I'm just going to tell her, who are you? I don't even know you anymore. And he was angry. And I said, you know what, sir? I said, if you do that, you are going to push her more into his arms. I said, it's exactly what you said, Steve. It's like we can bring our vulnerability to them. We can say, I miss you. I'm scared. I don't know who you are. But the tone, the way we say it, is more about wooing them towards us, being honest, but it requires vulnerability instead of anger and control. Exactly what you said. Reactivity doesn't really help us to connect.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I have seen kids even reach a point where they want to disown their parents. The parents don't react. They listen. They respond. Kids work through that. They don't want to be out there without a family. They work through it, and then they look back and they see that wise response, not a reaction, listening rather than a lecture. Things start to heal. I mean, we just sometimes we just have to do the exact opposite, like you were telling this man to do. Do the opposite of what you feel like doing, and you're going to have such a better outcome. Anyway, 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be in the studio for 2 hours. We want you to join us. 1-800-229-3000.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Right, Steve Arterburn, right before I go to the phone call, I want to remind you that you can be the most amazingly dressed human being today at pool or party or just in your own home with a t-shirt that only costs $100. If you're watching on Facebook or any of those places, you can see Alice and Sheri are holding it up. It says, I saved a person's life, and all I got was this t-shirt and a whole bunch of satisfaction. We're charging $100. It's overpriced, but so undervalued because that money goes to help somebody get the help that they need. Please call us and decide you would like to wear this kind of t-shirt around town. And it really is true. When you support us, you are saving a human being's life. And we've just seen it over and over again. 1-800-NEW-LIFE to get that t-shirt before we sell out in your size. Let's talk to Annie. Pensacola, Florida. Listens on Sirius XM satellite radio. Channel 131 is what she listens to at, this time right here. It's 1 Eastern time is when we start on Sirius XM. How are you, and how could we help?
Thank you. I can't wait to sport my T-shirt.
Hi, Annie.
Oh, you're going to buy a T-shirt?
Hi. Yes, I am.
Woohoo.
All right, so listen, because of that, I'm going to pay attention to what you're asking. Okay? All right. How could we help today?
I grew up very poor and very resourceful, put myself through college, and really am blessed to have an amazing life. I met a wonderful husband, now my husband. He grew up very affluent, totally different lifestyle, and we are married, and we're both very committed to our marriage. We've been married for 14 years, but we have always had one issue, and that is money. And my husband is an excellent provider. I'm also a professional, and I work as well. But he will not spend money. He just will not do it. And I am so frustrated. And I know this sounds like a simple issue, but anytime I say I would really love to just have a new couch, or I would love to, get new drapes or something like that for the home, because I grew up so poor. That's really important just for me to have a cozy space. He goes into a big litany of why we cannot afford that, when in fact we're really, very, very blessed financially. Okay. And
so what's the question? What's the question for us?
How do I get him to see that it's not silly and stupid to spend money on something that is meaningful to me just because he loves me? Why can't he do that?
Okay. All right. Well, Sheri, you want to start us off, and then Alice?
So tell me that he is either a CPA or a doctor or somebody that handles numbers and data for a job all day long.
Yes.
So what does he do?
He is a engineer.
Oh, I knew that, right? So an engineer handles it. And you know why I knew this? because there's a little part of the brain that is called an anterior cingulate gyrus, which has to do with the spectrum of anxiety when it's working too hard. Now, we have to have this part of our brain because it's the part of the brain that makes choices and is really good connecting the dots, and everybody has one, but some people, they've got a supersized one, and those are the people that end up in careers like your husband. Well, so there's some upsides to that, but let me tell you the downside is they are frugal. They don't want to spend money. It doesn't make sense to them because this is what he tells you. Well, the couch we have is already fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have any tears or rips. They have a completely different mentality around saving, which can be really painful to you, right? Because you're trying to be able to get something that you want or need. So I think if he were to maybe even listen to the show and understand that it's not about him as much as it's a part of his brain that is wired for reserving, wired kind of in a scarcity mentality. And I have worked with folks with this kind of brain to help move them into more abundant thinking, to help free them up. And so for you, one thing you might do is instead of just asking for a new couch, I would say if you can help paint a picture for him. Paint a picture as what that couch would provide for you, how that's going to change you. What does that offer you? What does it give to you? How that will bring your heart comfort. How, whatever it is, it's as if you need to paint a picture to help them understand the benefit. Does that make sense?
And I have done that. Yes, and I have done that. And what I don't understand is, I know that he loves me and that he's an amazing person. And we even went to a fabulous Christian therapist, and he's still, we went for a year, and he just quit yesterday because he was like, I'm not going to change. So,
well, but that's that brain. I want him to begin to see that it's not about him. It's not even about his love. It's that his brain is saying, no, 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 no. This brain can be oppositional, argumentative. It has facts keeping. And so shifting his perspective as to what it's about might help you too. What do you think, Alice?
Well, let me just jump in here real quick as a man. So there was a guy named Ignatius, and he essentially founded the Jesuit order, and he had this phrase. It was like a disorderly attachment. We talk about attachment disorder. But he talked about these unhealthy attachments. And here's what he might say to your husband. You are doing some things because you think it's meeting this need for you. But if you could somehow see God in a different light and the way God sees you, you would want something below this, deeper than this. Your desire would still be responsible. It would be, it would have all these great financial benefits to it, but it would be deeper and richer. For instance, he is so attached to stacking up stacks of money, which is a responsible thing to do, that he's missed what God said is more important. God didn't say, here's the most important commandment. He didn't say, save every nickel you can, and also force everybody around you to save every nickel. No, he said, love God with everything you've got. And then he said this is the second and most important commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. If your husband could see there is such greater reward in using that financial management ability, his ability to save, to account, to fix all the details, and win your heart, and that, because when he wins your heart, he's winning the heart of God, as long as you're not doing something irresponsible or sinful or something like that. So if I was talking to your husband, or maybe Ignatius was, I'd say, look, you're selling yourself short, and you're getting attached to a desire that's preventing you from really getting in touch with what you really want and what you can have. Respect, admiration. You can be a man of respect and admiration, and you can feel security, not just from things, but from the connections that you have and the respect that you get when your wife says to your children, your father is this or he is that. And even though he wants this, he does this because he knows that's more important. That's what I want his desires to be focused on. The deeper, richer things which always lead us to relationship, not using things to separate us off from the people that love us the most. Alice, your turn.
I have two questions that I hope will help meet your husband where he is. I want to just build off of what Steve and Sheri have already said. So the first question, this is a Matthew chapter 7 question. It's, how does my use of money affect you? And that question is most powerful when we just gather information and we don't negate what the speaker tells us. Even if we disagree, just listen. And the other one is, how much are you okay with me spending? How can I have a budget per month that we can agree to? And so I'll put aside money because I'm going to use it for the drapes and I'm going to use it for the couch. So how much money are you okay with me setting to the side from our income?
I like that. And I think in that conversation, you could even say to him, when I ask you about a couch or something, what fear comes up? What are you afraid might happen if you just said, hey, yeah, go do it? And then the other thing is, when you are saving and restricting, what is the goal? What is it you're trying to accomplish the most? Have you thought about what is the greatest desire of your heart? And then don't put him down for anything that he says. Listen and just ask for more and more. And it might open a window or a door to the heart.
I was working with a doctor on this exact topic, and we were talking about his girls wanting a new backpack, and he said the old backpacks are just as good, and so I don't see any benefit to it. And I said, you know what, in all due respect, I said, do you want your girls to remember you as a dad that always had a closed fist when it comes to their needs and wants? Is that the legacy you want to leave? And he actually teared up. He was like, I never really looked at that as a legacy. I said, yeah, that's how they're going to remember you. Mm-hmm. And so shifting his mind about the impact of that and how it comes off to others is often the way back to his heart.
Well, it is a very tempting way for control to be exerted. We don't want to go the opposite direction either. So I hope something we've said is helpful. I'm going to send you Take Your Life Back, which is another great little Bible study. It's got a workbook with it. You could do it with him, and he might see that he is being owned by the stuff that he owns. Wouldn't that be amazing if he would? All right, I'm glad you called, 1-800-229-3000. Let's go over here and talk with this fabulous person from Houston, Texas, Melissa, also listening on Sirius XM. Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I was swallowing something. That's why I hesitated. But
well, I'm glad you didn't choke.
Yeah, me too. My question is, I'll give you the question and then I'll give you some background. I have a 14-year-old, or 13, almost 14-year-old half brother. And I'm an adult. I'm 47. I'm trying to figure out a way. I don't know who to contact, who to call, how to help him with. He kind of needs an advocate. Mm-hmm. And the background is his mother is an ex-felon. She just got out of prison, which she was there for 12 years, most of his life. She was in prison when he was an infant. And we share the same father. And she suddenly just showed up at my dad's house and just thought she was going to, barge into his life, and he ran to his room crying, Anthony, and bawling his eyes out. He has a lot of behavioral issues, getting in trouble all the time at school. He's failing everything, even though he's intelligent. He's very, very overweight. He has a hollow look in his face. You know, when you look at him, he just looks lifeless. He looks depressed even.
Okay.
And
hey,
our
quick
dad,
question before we go to the break. What kind of professional help is he getting for all of that?
he's only been to the Catholic Church for a counselor, and it didn't really help at all.
Okay. Well, you hear the music. We have to go to a break.
Yeah.
But we'll hear the rest of the story and try to give you some help right after this. Poor guy. Really glad you called, and I hope that we can provide some good insight here. You're listening to New Life Live, 1-800-229-3000.
I am just so thankful for this weekend. It's been amazing to see how Satan messes up marriages in so many ways.
My name is Sheri Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography. It might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
Through Shelley's example, I have seen such transparency. It's just been amazing. I've just been able to let out all the yucky details.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey. Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 19th to the 21st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
All right, we're talking with Melissa, 14-year-old mom just out of prison. Melissa, what else were you wanting to tell us about this situation?
Okay. Our dad, mine and Anthony's dad, had a hemorrhagic stroke 6.5 years ago. He literally had the stroke in front of Anthony when he was 7. So he saw that whole horrible thing. Our dad is now paraplegic, mute, confined to wheelchair or hospital bed, that sort of thing, in the house. But
it's so sad.
So he's basically had no structure. And he's lost, and he's afraid. And my dad thinks that he's going to ride off into the sunset with Anthony's mother, even though they're divorced, because he has a brain injury from the stroke. So he doesn't think clearly. Anthony's frightened. He doesn't want to see his mother. He doesn't want to go with her.
Melissa, are you a legal guardian to Anthony, or is there anybody else who's his legal guardian?
No, there is nobody. My dad had the stroke. You know, he can't speak. My dad has sole custody from when he was, whole. He had sole custody because of the incarceration. And his mother was involved in a kidnapping scheme. That's why she was in prison. So when he saw her, he thought, she's going to whisk me off. I'm never going to see anybody again. I don't even, he's angry with her. He doesn't, it's just sad to see the whole thing. And I don't know, is there a legal way? Who can get involved to defend, to be his advocate? Because, our dad isn't able to. He doesn't have the capacity in his mind.
Well, there is a system that is set up where the court appoints an ad litem for the child to act in the best interest of the child. But why wouldn't you just want to be that person?
Well, I mean, I have tried and gone round and round, and I didn't know where to even start. You know, like how can we take this sole custody from my dad just for the sake of the child? And my dad is still with it in some ways, but not completely. So he could be really feisty, and I don't know. I mean, we're kind of battling him, and he's childlike in his mind, and then trying to do what's best for Anthony. And then this woman showed up. You know, it's like, oh my gosh. You know, it's just. Well, I didn't think she would. I thought she was getting deported. So.
But what you've told me about Anthony, it doesn't sound like he's getting the kind of care that he needs, given what how you described him. So, who's going to do that for him? Who's going to step up? And what are you afraid of here with the father? I'm just having a hard time. In other words, what I'm saying is, I think if you could, maybe you could step up and become his greatest strength here.
And Melissa, it sounds like you're willing to, but you have not had the right information to be able to figure that out.
Right. I don't think I have had the right information because I was afraid I couldn't do anything.
So there are two agencies that can help you with this. Let me ask, how old is your father? Is he over 65?
He's 71, and Anthony's 13 going on 14 next month, in July.
So there's an agency for children, Child Protective Services, that you can call, and a social worker can be assigned to evaluate and to help you navigate the legalities of seeking custody and guardianship of your brother. And then Adult Protective Services might be a good contact as well because of your father and his limitations, because his ability to make these decisions may need to be evaluated by professionals, so that if he fights you doing this, Adult Protective Services would assign a social worker to him and would also help you navigate that and determine if he's capable of making those decisions or not.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't do nothing. That's what I would say, because both of them really need you and your husband involved, it seems like. Sheri, what do you think?
Well, and Melissa, I would be willing to give you a call today and help you transition that. Can I do that? Would you let me do that?
I just don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I will call you. Because you know what? It's so interesting. It's odd how his mom shows up, but let me tell you the upside to that. Is it created chaos again in an already chaotic system. And she showing up may be the very thing that you needed to reach out and call us and get the support that Anthony needs. Because how I see him is a child that has incredible neglect. He can't, he can't thrive. He can't live. He can't grow. He can't learn. He can't do anything in the situation he's in right now.
And then let's combine neglect with the shame of your mom's in prison, and add to that trauma, watching the stroke and all of that take place. I mean, he really has been under it, and so I really think this could, like Sheri said, this could be the thing that leads to something really good for him.
And Melissa, you've been the antibiotics to him throughout his entire life, safeguarding him. And research shows when a person goes through such incredible trauma as your brother has, but they have at least one solid person in their life, it really ameliorates the damage that the trauma can do. So you are a superhero in his life. You're a force for good.
You know, it's funny you talk about antibiotics. I saw Anthony in my mind as coming into the world with a hole in his heart. And if he had come into the world with a hole in his heart and he was bleeding, he would be in a treatment care facility with a lot of doctors all looking in on him. But when we're born in the world with a hole in our heart emotionally, we're not seen, we're not noticed, and we're bleeding out. And so I love that she called today, and I love that we're going to help her get him into a place that's going to give him what he needs.
You're our hero,
Sure glad
Melissa.
You're there, caring, and that you called. How We Love Our Kids, I'm sending to you.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're with us here today on New Life Live. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help. If you want to join us on this program, we'll do another one in an hour and 30 minutes. And so that's 1-800-229-3000. Those are the numbers. Speaking of numbers, number one in my mind right now is Dr. Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, how are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you.
Larry is the father of the club.
All right, and the club's
Let's
what I want to talk
that
about.
Club. Yeah.
I like to help people understand why we're asking for your support. So I want to start with that, with a little testimony. You'll like this one, Steve.
Okay.
I've been listening to your program for about 2 years on my satellite radio. I travel from Ontario, Canada to San Diego in my truck. With the counseling you guys give, I have been quietly helped to deal with issues in my life like pornography, temper, self-esteem, more than anything, how to establish integrity in my marriage. The Lord laid on my heart the desire to help support New Life with my financial contribution and become a club member. What a privilege to be a tiny part in such a ministry. My heart is for men who've traded their marriage partner for Satan's poor imitation of God's gift to us. Never was I able to put a name to what was missing in my marriage until hearing Steve talk about integrity. Thank you for being the light in the world filled with darkness. Please keep reminding all of us, Steve, to do the next right thing. That takes all the guesswork out of decisions.
Amen. Wasn't it great?
Oh, I love that.
Super.
I mean,
that is super.
That's what happens when you support New Life.
And I'm going to ask folks that heard this, come along and honor his commitment to integrity and help us and join Club New Life. And if you do, I think we can thank you with the best thank you we've ever offered.
8 books, best of the best, we're calling them. Healing is a choice, changes that heal, boundaries, forgiving what you never forget, how we love, secrets women keep, every man's battle, intimate deception. It's the radio host of this program and the best of their best. They've written these books. They'll help you with anything. Anything that you are dealing with in life, one of these books touches. And so
it's like $120 package. And this is what's cool, Larry, and I didn't realize this. So if you're already one of our New Life listeners and you want to add $10 or more to your monthly giving, we're giving this package away to them too. So if you're listening and you're saying, oh, I already give, then just give $10 more, $15, $20 more. And it just is $10 is the minimum, but you get the package as well. So
preach it.
Yeah.
But it's Christmas. You got you're going to have eight or 9 books to give away.
There you go.
Early.
And the person that you're hearing preach it is one of the most generous people herself. And so I just hope that you will listen to Sheri. I hope you'll respond to this man, and then we're going to thank you in the best way I think we've ever thanked before with this. You'll love it, and it really, really can make all the difference in the world if you'll just read these books and work through some of the things that are there in there. So 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Help us, help others. It'll help you far more than it'll help anybody else. I guarantee you that. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, everybody who has been giving to all the Club New Life members out there. Thanks.
Yep. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. All right, let's go to, how about we talk with Carol, Virgin Islands, WIVH. I love that. I've been down in the Virgin Islands shopping and heard our program in one of the stores there. So, hi, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
We're all right. How can we help today?
Good. Is it possible to reconcile with a narcissist?
Well, tell us why you're asking and what his state of mind is.
Okay, well, this would be my brother. And my mother passed away in January of 2017.
Okay.
Prior to her passing, she made it very clear to everyone in the family that I was to receive her car as a gift. The day we were to go to get the car titled in my name is the day she died. And the very next day, my father, I was spending the night at my parents' home. My father came to me and said, I would like you to take me to the bank. I want to pay off the car so that we can get the process started of having the title put in your name. I did that, believing that I was honoring my father and honoring my mother because that was her plan. Well, my brother was the power of attorney for my dad. And 2 days later, he showed up at my parents' house unannounced and was visibly angry and went to just ripping me to shreds verbally. How could I take advantage of our father? How could I drain the savings account? On and on and on.
All right. So what's the question for us then? What's the deal here?
Is it possible to reconcile with this man who continues to bully me and continues to?
Well, no, you can't reconcile. You can't reconcile with somebody that's continuing to hurt you. That's like, should I forgive someone that's continuing to shoot bullets at me with a revolver? No, that's not the right thing. The right thing is, how do we come to peace with this person first? That'd be a great accomplishment, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know that he's willing to be there. Yeah.
No, he's unwilling at this point. We had our first conversation over the phone in 2.5 years. We did meet last January in an attempt to reconcile, but he just goes back to his original talking points, and there's no reasoning with him.
Well, let me step in here. Sheri, given that there isn't potential for reconciliation, what is a question that might be one we could answer in a situation like this? Would give her some guidance of what to do in some area where there's some possibility. What do you think?
You're asking me for a question or for a thought?
I was just thinking, she asked, is it possible to reconcile? And I'm thinking, well, he doesn't want to reconcile. He's still bullying. So is there something we could help her with in dealing with that brother who's so angry and controlling and all of that?
You know how I see it, and I might not be on your happy list, Carol, for saying this, but let me be honest with you. And I got my own family story that's very similar to that. And it really hurts when things like this happen. And I'm going to sit here. I'm going to say, Sometimes family members have very different perspectives, and those perspectives can create divisions that can last for the rest of your life. What is it about you that has a hard time understanding his perspective, because he's concerned about your dad's limited budget for the rest of his living days, and he feels, this is his perspective, he feels that taking the car and you having that asset is taking the money out of what his dad needs, your dad needs to live. Are you able to hear what you're getting is his anger? Are you able to hear what I think is more fear? Sometimes people bring us their anger, but really it's more fear that there's this well-bodied child, right? Adult child that's getting a resource, and he's afraid, and he doesn't understand how you could take that asset at this time in their life, even though I get the gift. Your mom said, I want you to have it. Your dad was in agreement, but you've got a sibling that is seeing it differently. Can you acknowledge that and offer some understanding towards his fear?
I did in the conversation that we had in January of 2018.
And what did you say?
Well, he asked me a question. He said, if you could do anything differently, what would you do? I said, I may not have taken Dad to the credit union. I may have called you before that took place. Now, you have to understand there was a little bit of slyness in that on my end, because I knew that couldn't happen. And given the scenario, I probably wouldn't have done that. I didn't do that.
I know. And you didn't do that because you were afraid your brother was going to say no. You were afraid that there would be this division already, because the division hasn't started just around this car. This division has been there in your family for a long time.
Carol, have you had to sneak around behind your brother because of his unwillingness and his stubbornness? Have you had to keep things from him throughout your life?
No.
Okay.
No, this is actually the first conflict my brother and I have ever had. My sister, that's a different story, and she's stonewalling me right now. I have not had a conversation with her since the day my mother's memorial.
Well, we got some other things to talk about here when we come back.
Last year, after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw, not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all. When you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. June 28th to the 30th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back to Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Alice Benton, Dr. Sheri Keffer, and we are talking with Carol all the way from the Virgin Islands. Sheri.
So this is my challenge to you, because one is, Carol, you've lost your mom, and both siblings are in contention with you right now. And my question is it worth it? Is that vehicle worth it? Is it worth the dissension that is now in your home? What if you were to lay it down? What if you were to say, I'm not going to hold on to this justifiable resentment against my family and hold on to this thing, and I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to put the money back in my dad's account, and I'm going to do that in honoring connection and saying, I hear you. And I had to really think about that. I was looking at the sentimental part of being given a car and how that meant a lot to me, because this car, belonged to Mom, but the memories and your relationship matter way more than this thing that has now been interjected into cause disconnection in your home. Alice, just...
Well, Carol, we're telling you all this because we love you and we want more peace and freedom for you. And so in what you told us, I think God is inviting you gently into acknowledging a couple things to your brother. One, that you haven't been totally upfront with him about this situation, and that you want to take responsibility for that, and to acknowledge, I didn't call you to ask your opinion, and it really affected you. It's driven this huge wedge between us, and I want to ask for your forgiveness for those things. Now, only do that if you can genuinely do it, but you can also give God permission, Carol, to move your heart in that direction. You cannot lose if you follow God's steps.
And you know what? Sometimes we do this because maybe we weren't really seen. Maybe there was a favored child. Maybe your brother was favored. And so this might have been some way that you could lay that axe down and go, okay, Mom did favor me or love me. She gave me the car, right? We do all these things inside to try to right the wrongs or to try to right the hurts. But when we end up having more hurt around us than really what it's worth, lay it down, girl, and get back into relationship.
Well, I know this. Death brings out the worst in the people that didn't die.
I know. Why is that, Steve?
We just, all of a sudden, maybe something gets left to you, and maybe you say, just maybe it was just you weren't even felt noticed by the person. Oh, now that I'm noticed, I want to make the best of it. Or you have a little bit of control there that has been given to you, and you just run with it. And it's really strange how often this happens when somebody dies and what the kids end up doing. And we always, if we can step back 5 paces and say, is what I'm doing in this situation, which is so hard for all of us, is it loving? Is it unselfish? Is it honest? Is it pure? Sometimes just asking those questions can get us to take a second look at what we're
Is
doing.
it worth it? Hey, how about sending your book Walking into Walls? That's where the concept of justifiable resentment came from, Steve, is from you.
It's coming her way. We'll go to one more call real quick. If you want to join us in the next program, that's going to be 1-800-229-3000. But let's very quickly go to Rob in Chicago, Illinois. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Oh, good. How are you doing today?
Great. What's going on? Don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to get to your call.
Thank you. Question I have is, how can I connect with my wife, who I believe has narcissistic personality traits, and also is a verbal abuser?
Okay. What's she doing right now to not connect with you?
Right now, it's just been a silent treatment for about 4 months.
4 months. Wow. And what did you do to deserve that?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure where to start with that anymore because it's been such a long history of disconnect.
So, Rob, would you tell us the two biggest things you've done that have hurt your wife through the history of your relationship with her?
Two biggest things would be my involvement with porn, which was she was known about 6 years ago, and since then she's plenty aware of it. And
Rob, have you gotten treatment for it, and are you sober?
Yes, both.
Okay, and then what's the second one?
The second one, I'm not sure. I could say anything. Possibly being blamed for not willing to financially accept all of her needs or requests that come up.
Okay. And do you have children that are exposed to her verbal abuse?
Yes. Yep.
Are they minors?
Yes.
So let me jump in here. Let me jump in. I'll tell you something. Your wife has come from a lot of hurt and pain. And I think she grew up in a home where she wasn't accepted and she couldn't trust people. So when you started using porn, you just added to the problem. So now she couldn't trust growing up, and now she doesn't trust you. So I don't want to call her a narcissist. You know what I call her? A really wounded person who needs some intervention and needs some help. And I'm going to send you my book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, because I want her to get help, and I want her to start finding her power, because she's using offending and in anger, and she's using silent treatment to try to get power that she's not had. And she needs to learn how to do it in a really healthy, legitimate way.
Yeah. Your job is to stay pure and as Alice said, sober. Her job is to forgive and find a way to be free of this. And they're both really, really tough, hard jobs to do. All right, we are out of time. If you want to join us on the next program, 1-800-229-3000. Don't forget that T-shirt, $100. I saved a person's life, and all I got was this T-shirt. For $30 a month, if you don't belong to Club New Life, you get a library of 8 books. If you are a member, for $10 more, we'll send you that library with things like Healing is a Choice, Intimate Deception, Boundaries, Every Man's Battle, Forgiving What You Can't Forget, The Secrets That Women Keep,
and How We Love.
How We Love is right in there. It's big. So please help us if you can, and that's our way of saying thank you for being part of this giving family. Now, we have some amazing transformational experiences coming up, none more powerful than Every Man's Battle. That's June the 7th, and it's in Cincinnati, right smack dab in the middle of the country. Please, if you possibly can and you need it, come and be there with us. It's going to be such a fantastic experience, and we may not be back in Cincinnati for quite some time, but it's every man's battle. It's every man's integrity, and you join these other brothers in the battle. Intimacy in Marriage is June 28th in Washington, D.C. Restore, July 19th in Dallas. We'll do Finding Freedom again in September. We can help you. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a counselor, one of 1,100 around the country. Maybe it's one of these experiences that you won't find as a part of any other ministry. If you need help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. It is a matter of humbling down and saying, I'm going to get the help that I need no matter what. I'm no longer going to try hard, because I've discovered trying harder makes trying harder and harder and harder. It's when we surrender and open ourselves up to being helped in a whole new way that the world starts to change for us in a really amazing way. If you want to join us right now for the next program, 1-800-229-3000. Thank you, Alice, and thank you, Sheri. Thanks to all of you who listen, watch, and pray. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.